What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is The Defenders, Season 1, Episode 8, the season finale, The Defenders. Kind of, I guess, fitting to name the last episode after the title of the show, because this is officially when they probably start calling themselves The Defenders. But anyway, so, obviously, after the end of last episode, there was a lot of stuff building up into this one. We see they brought bombs to this building, to Midland Circle, so they can blow up the building and shut down whatever tunnel thing they've got going on underneath. And so it's pretty much just the ultimate battle between the Defenders and the Hand. The final battle, I guess, for now. I assume, I don't think they're completely gone. I still think they're going to show up in some form or fashion later on. Probably just not as strong as they were this season. So, yeah, let's talk about it. First of all, we start off up top with everybody else except for Danny. Everybody except for Luke is kind of realizing, yeah, this is something we need to do. We need to stop them. They're dangerous. We can't just let them continue what they're doing and not do anything about it. And so they're all trying to convince Luke until finally he's like, all right, fine, whatever, we'll do it. And so they head down the elevator shaft down into the cave looking thing. Danny, meanwhile, is trying to pick off a few guys here and there, but there's so many of them, eventually just gets overwhelmed. Madame Gal as well is there. So we see that apparently this whole thing has been building to... this is the dragon, I think, that Danny fought. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they actually confirmed that or not. But I'm pretty sure that's who this bone belongs to, or these bones belong to. And it looks like whatever material that they use to bring themselves back to life, like I said, this is where they're going to find more of it, and so they're packing it up, they're trying to get it all ready. And so Danny's trying to do his best to stop them. Ultimately, though, it comes down to they hear the elevator shaft coming down, they know it's probably the rest of the Defenders, and so they get Danny, and they're trying to use him as, I guess, leverage. But ultimately, that doesn't really lead to anything because they don't do anything with it. Jessica, Luke, and Matt all come up with a plan where Jessica's the only one on the elevator whenever it comes down, and Matt and Luke are hidden, and so they kind of jump down from above and surprise attack. But ultimately, I mean, Murakima's the one that's got Danny at this point, and he's got a knife to his neck. And just doesn't do anything. He's just like standing there. Oh crap, they're attacking. Oh no. And then Danny like knocks the knife away and fights him off. And so this does lead to the big fight, the one where they're all fighting together against all the members of the Hand. Once again, it is shot in kind of close quarters in darkness as well. So there were certain points where I'm just like, what's going on? They're quick cuts, and you're just like, okay, I see Luke. Who's the guy he's fighting? Is that an important guy? Is that just a random member of the Hand? It is kind of difficult at times to tell, but there were a couple shots in all of that. There was one in particular where it was just like, it was kind of reminded me of the hallway scene in Daredevil Season 1, where it's like following this way, turns around, and things are still going on behind it, and you just kind of get to see the whole fight going on around you. Shots like that are awesome, but they're so few and far between, it's really, you don't get to appreciate it because after that shot's done, all of a sudden it's back to close quarters, shaky, ooh, darkness, you can't really see what's going on. I don't know, it's not terrible, it's nothing, like, show-breaking for me, but it is kind of frustrating. I understand that there are certain camera tricks and techniques that you're trying to pull here to save on having to, do certain things, to make certain edits. Stunt people are hidden a lot better if you do it like this, but I still want to see the fight. I still want to see what's going on. I don't want to just see a quick cut of, was that Luke Cage tackling a random guy, or was he tackling Murakima? Wait, is Danny fighting off two random guys, or what's going on right now? Is that Danny? Is that Matt? What's going on? So, yeah, but they fight. Ultimately, it gets to a moment where they're kind of surrounded, and they sort of realize, all right, we have to fight together. And so Luke's like, all right, kid, light it up. Danny summons the Iron Fist. He and Madame Gal both go up. She goes to use her force powers. He goes to use his fist and just knocks them all back. And it was a cool shot. We saw this whenever he did it to Luke in the warehouse when he hits him and everybody goes flying back from the pure energy that got released. kind of similar thing here, except it was all focused one way, and so they just topple like bowling pins. I'm just like, that was pretty cool. But ultimately, this only stops them for a second because they still have to fight a little bit more until they manage to get pretty much everybody knocked out, or at least knocked to the ground. And so they're like, all right, let's get on the elevator, let's get out of here. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, we see Colleen is having to fight Bakuto because, I don't know, symbolism, I guess. Of course, I was wondering at the time, I'm like, all right, this can't go simply, right? Like, they got to have somebody up here to stop them. And so when Bakuto shows up, I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. So even though, when you really think about it, why isn't everybody downstairs? Why are there people still upstairs? And how come Matt didn't sense these people whenever they went down there? But yeah, it does sort of make sense that Colleen would have to face off against Bakuto again, because their story didn't really end in season 1. You know, it ended with Davos killing him off. And so they're fighting. Claire is trying to set up the bomb, but then all of a sudden these guys come in to sort of help out Bakuto. So she goes and fights those guys for a little bit. Misty shows up to help out and shoots one of the guys. And then Bakuto kind of gets one up on Colleen and slices her across the back a little bit. And so then Misty's like, stand there, I'll shoot you down. So she shoots him a few times, and he just takes it and keeps walking. And so he knocks her out. He and Colleen are fighting again. Then Claire shows up and starts fighting, and then he has 2 swords to Claire's throat. And I'm just like, don't Coulson her, don't Coulson her. But then all of a sudden Misty comes in and kind of knocks him to the side, but then he swings and turns and cuts off her arm. And so now her entire right arm is missing. It's like cut off to up here. I'm just like, oh my god. And then Colleen like just knocks his sword aside, slices his throat, and then slices his head off. I'm like, wow. That's a good way to end his character. But in all of that, Bakuto ends up setting off the timer for the bombs. And so now they have 10 minutes to get out of there. So we're back down after that whole fight scene that happened down in the tunnels. We see Matt's like, go ahead, I'll be right there. I still think I can get through to her. And this is where I kind of got frustrated. I mean, through all of this, through all of the shaky fight scenes, through all of the kind of, why is Bakuto up there when he probably should be downstairs, all these little nitpicks that I have don't really bother me. This thing with Matt and Elektra just bugs the hell out of me. It doesn't ruin the show. It doesn't ruin the show. It doesn't even ruin this episode. But I'm pissed. I just don't understand Matt's thinking here. And here's the thing. I mean, I've had to see Danny do all of these naive things because he's kind of immature. He kind of makes some stupid decisions every now and then. But it kind of makes sense for him because he is still a kid. Matt knows better. Matt should know better. And I understand he's trying to get through to Elektra. I understand he still has feelings for her and he doesn't want to see her become this evil thing that they've turned her into. I get that. But at the same time, it's so selfish of him. And I just don't see that from Matt. I don't expect that from him. You're pretty much sacrificing your life. You pretty much know you're going to die. He even tells Danny, we don't get to hear it for some reason. We hear it later on. But he pretty much tells Danny, protect my city. So he knows he's going to die down there. And he doesn't care. All he can think is, I just want to get through to her. I just want to get through to Elektra. Dude, what about Foggy and Karen? I mean, they are torn up at the end of this episode. I mean, we see Foggy's talking to Luke and Claire after all this is said and done. And they're both just like, look, I'm sorry for your loss. He's like, it's all of our losses. And you can just see he's torn up about it. We go later and Karen's sitting in a church alone, all by herself, mourning his death. And then Foggy comes in, they sit together and mourn his death. And I'm just like, you have to know that sacrificing your life is going to do this to 2 of your best friends in the world. And you just don't care because it's all about Elektra now. And I kind of had this feeling in season 2 as well. Like he and Karen were kind of together and they were kind of enjoying life together, to be honest. But then Elektra shows up and it's all about Elektra. It's all about Elektra. That's all he cares about is Elektra. Karen, screw her. Go away. Go away. I understand you've been here for me forever, but just go away. I don't care about you anymore. It's all about Elektra. It's all about Elektra. I'm like, we're still here. That was done after season 2. She died. Move on. We're here. End of season 1 of The Defenders. It's all about Elektra still. And who cares about Karen and Foggy? it's just so selfish, and it pisses me off that he made this decision. Ultimately, he doesn't die. I don't know how. End of the episode, we see him lying in some sort of, it looks like a Catholic church, being healed up. And there's a nun sitting on the side of his bed. It's like, go get Maggie. Tell her he's waking up. So, yeah, I don't know how he survived, but he did. But it doesn't change the fact that everybody thinks he's dead. Karen and Foggy are still extremely torn up about it. I hope when he gets back, I've talked about how I really liked how they've handled the whole Karen thing this season. They didn't do it the typical, like, she's pissed because he didn't tell her about his secret life and, she hates him now because of it. It's been very understandable how they've handled it. But I want them to do a cliche thing. Whenever he comes back, I want Karen to see him, walk up to him, and smack him across the face for being such a selfish prick. So, yeah, there's that part of it. And that part is very frustrating. But ultimately, the rest of it's still really good. I mean, just everything to do with everybody else. Seeing them get up, manage to get everybody out of the building. They keep everybody safe as the building collapses. Pretty much the whole epilogue is really fun to watch too. Seeing them all get to go back to their lives. We see Jessica opens up her Alias Investigations office again. The window is new. Malcolm's in there helping patch up the wall, and she's okay with him being in there. She and Luke have a nice little talk at the bar. I kind of wondered if they were ever going to get to this, but they did have something between them in season 1 of Jessica Jones. And they never really talked about it. They never really touched on it at all. He's now with Claire, and so I'm like, are they ever going to get to this? I don't mind that they didn't do this whole, like, love triangle. Oh, but she loves him, and so does Claire, and he's been with both of them. What are you going to do? But they just, right here, they talk about it. He's like, look, we had something. Neither of us handled it very well, but it took the world almost ending for us to get back together. And he's like, let's not do that again. So it's almost like they kind of have a mutual agreement that they shouldn't, I guess, blow each other off anymore. They shouldn't just completely stop talking to each other. It should be, it'll probably just be a friendship, but at least it's not ignoring each other and completely avoiding each other as well. So I did like that. We do get to see Danny sort of realize through Matt's sacrifice just how much he cared for the city, and seeing that, it's almost like it's sort of opening up a little bit more for him what he's supposed to do. He even says to Colleen, New York's starting to feel like home, and then we see him at the end of the episode, almost looks like Matt for a second, but then all of a sudden his fist glows and you see it's him, and it's just like, okay, so maybe, like I said, one of the things that's been frustrating about his character is he's very naive. He makes some stupid decisions because he's still a kid. But I'm hoping this is kind of a growing moment for him. It was his mistake that led to them being able to get inside the dragon and get what they needed, which caused them to have to blow up the building because, if they weren't able to get inside the wall, there wouldn't be a problem. All you had to do is just fight off the guys, maybe collapse the building, so that way there's no chance of them getting down there. But the fact that you let them in, the fact that you punch the wall, even if Elektra did turn her fist into it, you're still the one that summoned your fist. It's still your fault that they got in, and all of a sudden now it's hectic. You have to blow up the building now because now they have what they want. So it was kind of his fault, most of this stuff. His just naivete, his willingness to jump into a situation without any sort of thought process whatsoever. I'm hoping through all of this, I'm hoping through seeing Matt, through talking to him, through fighting the hand, I'm hoping this is kind of growing him up a little bit. And I really want to see what they're going to do with him Iron Fist Season 2. I want to see if maybe he'll be a little bit less of a kid, a little bit less of the, I'm the Iron Fist, I'm the immortal Iron Fist, I'm going to fight you off, you're the hand, I'm going to fight you, it's my destiny, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to see any of that anymore. I've seen pretty much 2 seasons full of that. I want to see him grow. I want to see him mature. I want to see him become a man who has this ability, but he understands that it's not just his gift, it's also something he has to be able to control. It's something he has to be able to learn to live with and be able to summon when he needs it, not when he wants to. So, I don't know. It's possibly a growing place for him. It's possibly a place for him to say, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do now. I see that it's more than just, my calling, my destiny. It's something I have, and it's something I have to live with, as well as be a normal human being as well. So that's about it, though, for this episode. Final thoughts on the season as a whole. I mean, it was really good. I I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's something that people may have a few issues here and there. There are those people that still don't like Iron Fist, and it was kind of Iron Fist focused for some parts, which makes a lot of sense because it's the hand, and the hand needs the Iron Fist. So it does make sense that Danny does get a lot of focus. And so the people that hate the Iron Fist, they're probably not going to have as much fun as I do. But for me, I'm not a big fan of the Iron Fist, but at the same time, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I've watched a lot worse shows than the Iron Fist. But yeah, I mean, I thought each character got a good bit of focus. I think each one had their purpose in this show. I like how each of them had a different sort of reason for getting into this fight. Obviously Danny's like, it's my duty. We see Matt is kind of dealing with the whole dual personality, his regular human side and then his daredevil side. He's trying to pick which one works for him more. And ultimately, it's the daredevil side that he realizes is a part of his life too, and it has to be a part of his life. And so he's kind of dragged into it as well, almost unwillingly at first, but then he starts to realize it's what he's meant to do. He wants to protect the city. Luke Cage, same thing. I mean, wants to protect the city, but really doesn't know how to. He just kind of comes out of prison. He's like, I want to help people. I want to do whatever I can. And so he kind of gets dragged into this, not even realizing how big this is. But ultimately he realizes this is how you protect people. Sometimes you have to fight this big epic fight that maybe doesn't involve you, but as long as it's protecting people, it's a fight you have to take. And then for Jessica, it was a growing story for her to realize she can't do everything alone. She can't just play ignorant and completely ignore some of the problems going on in the city, because ultimately it will affect her in the end too. And if she's able to do something about it, she should do something about it. And so I really liked how just all of them sort of grew this season. All of them working off of each other was hysterical at some points, was really good. I mean, good emotional moments at some points as well. I definitely like sort of the, you watch the first three shows, you got Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. All of them had funny moments, but all three of the main characters were kind of either cynical or dark and gritty. And then you go to Iron Fist, and he's all, like, hopeful. He's like, I'm the Iron Fist. And he knows what he wants to do, and he's talking like a little dweeb at times. And so seeing those three interact with him, some of it was just too funny to even put into words. I mean, it was just so good how they really tied that all together and made fun of some of his quirks, made fun of some of what he's doing. I don't know, it was really fun. So that's it for me in general. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this first season? What were your thoughts on this final episode? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Defenders reviews and future Marvel Netflix shows reviews. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.